Hi everyone, Tyler here from TW-Waytek. Today we're going to be talking about how to import a large Excel dataset into SharePoint using Power Automate. So let's get started. I imported a total of 100,000 rows and 56 columns into a SharePoint list using Power Automate. So this is the end result. This is the list. It had a total of 100,254 rows, and you can see over lots of columns, 56 columns. So I previously downloaded a 1.8 gigabyte CSV file from Kaggle, which is a site that you can go and download large data sets. A lot of people use it for uh, AI training and whatnot. So this file had 495,000 rows and 89 columns. Using Power BI, I was able to transform that into two files. File 1, File 2, each with 50,000 rows and 56 columns. So each file, okay, this one was 32 megabytes. This one was 57 megabytes. So each with roughly 50,000 rows and then 56 columns. They were in a table. I put them both in a table. Same here. Data is different, but I essentially snatched 100,000 records out of the 495. So once I had my data set, I needed to create my SharePoint list, and I needed to add each column um, and ensure that the data type is the same as what's in my file. So whether it be a number, a date, a text file, I had made sure that the data would match. Okay, so let's go over the flow that I did in order to do the import. So it starts with just a manual trigger. The first action is the list rows present in a table. So we want to identify all the rows in the table. I provide the location, the document library, the specific file in this case, and then the name of the table. I didn't need to do any of the filters. We weren't filtering any of the columns or rows. I did that when I did the transformation in Power BI. So I have the data set that I want. The biggest thing here for this action is there's a 256 row limit. So if we were to start this now, it would stop at the 256 row. So in order to get past that, you want to go to settings. You want to turn pagination on and put your threshold. Maximum is 100,000, at least that I believe that I'm aware of. Obviously, my limit was 50,000. So that takes care of that threshold. There's also a 256 or 250 megabyte file size limit to import, which is also why I made my files into smaller files under 100 megabytes each. So that's not an issue. I was able to satisfy that limitation. The next limitation is a 20,000 row, 300 column limit import Excel data into SharePoint lists. So to get around that, we're doing an apply to each. So essentially, we're going to import each row individually at a time. So we're taking everything that's in the list, in the table, and then we're going to, so essentially take the body value. So essentially, this is just dynamic from the list rows present. We're taking the entire list and we're going to apply to each. And for this step, we're going to create an item in SharePoint, in the SharePoint list. So we provide our SharePoint list site address, the list name, and when you do this, it should pull down all the columns in your table, or sorry, in your SharePoint list. And then what we want to do is we want to pull the dynamic data from what we listed in our table and match each row. So I named them exactly the same as the Excel file, so there should be an exact match. and I would just went down to each one and just select it all the way down. So did all 56, and that's it. I mean, it's actually, I was surprised how small of a flow this is. You would think for doing 50,000 or 100,000 records. So I created a separate flow for each. The first flow ran for 5 hours, 20 minutes. It shows as being failed, but it didn't. All of the rows were essentially import 50,000 was and then the second file that I had, it took 6 hours, 30 minutes. Same thing, still showed it failed, but again, it did import the last file. I'm sorry, the last row. Same here. Time wasn't of the essence, so I didn't really focus on improving the speed of my flow. It was only just a matter of getting the data in. Just ran it overnight, come up the next morning, and everything was there. So this is the end result. It's actually very smooth. Quite surprised on that too. So, and I can filter the entire list. So if I want to filter the three that I did, 56 214, 56 200, and very fast, very smooth. So I was actually quite impressed with how well SharePoint handles 100,000 records. If you head over to TW-Waytek.com, you can see the full write-up I did on this flow, step by step. And let me know if you have any comments or have any ideas for future things you'd like to see me do. So I'd love to get your feedback, and I look forward to hearing from you. So that concludes my video. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to my channel to get all the latest technology tips, and to visit my website at TW-Waytek.com, where you'll find even more tips and tricks. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.